It's very possible that you may not have seen this video, but I am very sure most people did. If you did not, you saw the headline somewhere. The graduate that burnt his certificate. Okay, so we just spent about 2 minutes to watch the video. I think that video is extremely instructive. Here it is.
See, I want to burn my certificate. I won't burn my certificate. I don't finish school now. 13 good years. In fact, it don't enter 14. So I swear to God, I have not used, and this is my NYC certificate. You see, now my NYC certificate with this.
An original one.
Now my original one with this, limited. Now the school I finished from with this. You see, that's my university. Now this is my primary school, Command Children's School. It's now Lungi Barracks. It was Gardiner School Barracks. Now my file for my, in fact, this is my jam, but it's useless.
Why you want to burn your certificate?
Why I want burn them? See, 13 years and I swear, every job what I don't do, now job where I dey drag with people who no go school. So why you can't get, what's the essence of certificate? What I want burn am now. I go burn everything now. More no say now job, because this country now to get certificate be like waste of time. If you're in a certificate we get for this country, you won't travel out. They go they tell you say you know if you use the certificate, you go release something. So why you having this rubbish? Even to be president now, you feel for certificate. This is it. Look at where. This is my NYC. See am? Record them. Now my NYC with this. Laminated. This one is my secondary school.
No bond certificate now there.
Okay, this one is primary school. I no been at secondary school. Man, no been waiting. This is my.
I don't know the day where work go come now.
My brother, maybe we know see all of us now, Maybe we know say for the country. Now work where illiterate they do, but we no go school.
I in the Bonamo.
I never start. I don't want to make a fire catch. Don't be this.
In the one I say in the Bonamo.
Don't be say touch.
Why they burn your certificate?
There is no essence. What is that with this? You finish school. See, I even advise. Show my face, make it. I advise. Now be this. Will show you this again. Now be this. In this country now, you better say you go learn work. Say you learn work. I'm telling you the truth. Now, waiting for swimming partner say of recent. Person why they go beg for work. Now my friend for primary school, we no go university. And this is 13 good years. I finished school 2010. Go serve my nonsense nation. See now, you don't go down. Maybe they drag work with illiterate people. I swear. Now it's been 13 good years. When I finish school, no job. Now why they born this thing? I say, for like 1 week now, I don't get insomnia, no feel sleep. Cause they look and I say every job what I don't do. Now job where they don't ask for my certificate. Job where they pay me money, where they feel pay illiterate, we no go school. Maybe this. Get handwork. Get handwork. Those are parents will tell us say I'll send you. You go and learn electrician like a punishment. No be punishment. Carry your picking, make it learn hard work.
Now, if you have seen, looked at the video very well, you would probably have come across the name of this gentleman. His name is Ilenre Olutimane Alvin. So Alvin is the middle name. Ilenre Olutimane. I suspect somebody somewhere from from Edo State. Another thing you probably would also notice from that video is that he was wearing a Buhari Must Go t-shirt. So very likely one of the young men that came from the NSAS era. Another thing that is very instructive about this young man is that he went to a private university. He went to Ajayi Crowther University. Okay, and anybody that knows what it means to go to private university, you know the amount of money his parents may and would have spent on his going there. His primary school was Command Secondary School. So that shows you that he went to a very good primary school. Command Secondary School, command schools, they are the secondary schools that that was the primary school. Command Children's School, that was his primary school. He didn't bring his secondary school to the burning fiesta and so on. Okay, and then he made the point that it is a waste of time to get a certificate in Nigeria because for the 13 years that he has been without job, he graduated in 2010. For the 13 years that he has been without job, all the jobs that he had to do, he did not need a certificate for it. And he had to be vying for jobs with people who did not go to the university. That's somebody who went to a private university. Okay, he also made the point that we're in a country where the president does not have a certificate. Now, that is not true exactly, even though there's a lot of dispute around the president's certificate and so on, but he made that point, and it is very, very instructive. Also, he said that for the 13 years that he has graduated, every job that he did it without a certificate. And then he emphasized the point that rather than people running around getting certificates, they should they should spend their time learning a handwork. Go and learn a handwork. That's what he went on to say. As I was looking at the young man, it's very easy for one to see oneself in him because I also am a graduate. I didn't wait 13 years, but I waited some time to be able to get a job. And eventually the job came and God was very merciful. Okay? There is so much to learn from this young man's experience, so much to learn. But I want to address two things in this video. The first thing I want to address is I want to give a lesson to our graduates. Okay, and the lesson really is to tell us that we have been deceived for a long time. And it is time that we come out of our deception. Okay? What happened really with Nigeria is that thing we call the oil boom in the 1970s was one of the worst things that happened to this country. So in the 70s, we had the oil boom, and we thought we had all the money in the world. And then, of course, what happened was that everything was free. You had all kinds of money was running around Nigeria. And all you needed to do in those days was to be a graduate. When you're a graduate, jobs will be pursuing you. Okay, so we came into the 80s with a false mentality that all you need to do as a human being, or all you need to do is to go to school, graduate from a university, get a certificate. With a certificate, you'll get any job. Okay? People did not necessarily have to be skilled. People did not necessarily have to be knowledgeable. All they needed to do was just to have a certificate. So we have been deceived by what I will call the certificate fraud for a long time. You just have a certificate and that is it. Of course, many of our people go outside the country, and by the time they enter into the labor force, one of the first things that hits them is that their certificate is nothing. In fact, most of the time, nobody asks you for your certificate. The first thing they ask you is, what can you do for this company to move it forward? Okay, so for a long time, we have been deceived by the certificate fraud. Okay, and of course, Ilenre also, or Alvin, was deceived by the certificate fraud, thinking that because he has a certificate, then jobs will come automatically for you. The fact that you have a certificate does not mean that you must get a job. Okay, now in my book, that's my book, Humanity, go and get it. Out of the 101 articles I published there's one article that I wrote. I said, how to survive Nigeria as a graduate today. Okay, and I gave different points. I want to just summarize those points in this video. If you're going to get a job after you finish school, you would have begun to do the things you would eventually do after you finish school. Okay, except probably for some high sought after jobs like those of medical people, maybe doctors, pharmacists, and so on. because people will always be sick and people will always put money into the medical line, okay, and things like that, okay. But except for those, most other jobs you would and must have learned some skill while you are in the university. Okay, so most universities or many universities in Nigeria today are teaching entrepreneurship. They're also encouraging their young people, their students, to go and learn a skill, and so on and so forth. If you finish as a graduate today and you do not have a skill in your hand, you're already late. You're already late. You're far behind many of your mates. Okay? So, before you enter into the university or while you're in the university, just like Alvin said, learn a trade, learn a skill, learn to do something, learn to do one thing or the other, okay, while you're in the university. All right, learn a skill. Another thing you must do, and you must do this throughout your university days and even after you have graduated, and that is the art of volunteering. Okay, this is something that many of our young people are averse to because of plain laziness. We are so used to people doing things for us. Learn to volunteer. Okay, learn to volunteer your time. During your long holidays, come home, volunteer to help your parent either in their businesses or some other uncle doing one thing or the other. Volunteer somewhere. Many people who are volunteers, wherever they find themselves volunteering, most times when they graduate and they have to return to those places, those people would have learned that they're able to do this work very well. They will always be one step ahead of others who are seeking that same job. And in fact, in some cases, they will employ them because they've known them to be useful people. So volunteer. By all means, volunteer. Okay? And then the last thing I want to say, probably before I mention that, I should also add, please, by all means, do what you love. Okay? When I was in the university, I just loved typing. I used to type. Before I entered the university, my dad had taught us, taken us to a place where to type, my brothers and I, so we learned how to type. So while I was in the university and after I graduated, I just perfected the skill. Today, that's what essentially I do. Okay, I don't give my books or my articles to anybody to type. I do my typing myself. Okay, and I improved my skills and all that. It's what I love to do. Okay, I love to read. I love to type. So these things, do whatever you love to do. Do it very well. Okay, avoid things that eat into your time. These things, watching movies. Please, if you can stop it, stop it. All these season movies will kill you. Stop it. What do they call this? BB Naija. If you want to destroy your life, be watching it. Be watching it every year. Be watching BB Naija. Even go and join them. Your life will be destroyed. Okay? Those things, avoid them like cancer. All right. And then the last thing I want to say, and this is an appeal to Christian students. This is an appeal. I'm a pastor, but I'm going to give you this immoral, this advice. Please, when you're in the university, avoid campus fellowships. Avoid them like a plague. Run away. Run away from those students who call themselves pastors. Run away. Flee for your life. Those things will destroy you. There are many people who finish from the university, all they have learned while they're in university is to read Bible and to pray. You'll get into the labor market and you'll be useless. Okay? Run away from campus fellowship. In most universities have chapels. Okay? And in those chapels, there are programs that are designed to cater to the spiritual needs of students. So that is enough. Run away from student fellowship. Run away from student fellowships. I go to University of Ibadan and I see students spending hours in the car park of the chapel praying when they are supposed to be studying or volunteering somewhere, learning a skill. Run away from student fellowship. Run away from student pastors. They will destroy your life. Okay? So that's my advice for students or for either undergraduates and graduates. Okay? Let me repeat that again. Learn a trade. Avoid certificate fraud. The fact that you have a certificate does not guarantee that you're going to get a job. Okay? All right. So that's that. Now, before I take on my last advice, I have this interlude. Watch out for it. Mark your calendar. On the 2nd of December is going to be the book launch of my book, Humanity. It's Saturday at exactly 4 p.m. Nigerian time. So plan to be there. It's actually going to be a virtual book launch. We're going to do it online. We're going to do it via Zoom. Okay, so very soon the link is going to be made available to the public, and you just simply slide in through into the Zoom meeting and be part of us. It's going to be a 90-minute program. We're going to have book reviewers, people who come and tell us about the book, and then we're going to have book reading from the author and so on, and then we're going to have donations. Okay, we're going to have people who will buy the book, and a fundraising event for the book. So join us, make out time, and be with us. Thank you. Let me give us a story. By the end of the 18th century, something happened in France. The people discovered or realized that they were hungry. There was scarcity of bread. There was no bread to buy. This is what happened. Women came out en masse and they invaded the king's palace. They dragged him and his wife out of his palace and brought them inside the city to come and see what the people were going through. It led on to a bloodbath where a whole set of aristocrats in France were killed. It led on to what we call the French Revolution. They deposed the monarchy and they instituted the kind of government they run today. What happened there is called revolution. A revolution is a situation where a people just come and they say enough is enough. We want change. And they utilize all kinds of means to bring about the change. Now, the problem with revolutions is this. Most revolutions are not successful. Most countries that you find today that are experiencing civil war, they entered into the civil war with a revolution mentality. They wanted to change government by force. Okay? But because it was not successful, the crisis continues and so on and so forth. So when revolutions sometimes are not successful, you may have sustained civil war, unrest, and so on and so forth. We want to avoid it by all costs. Government must avoid civil unrest by all costs. So that is France. Something else happened in Russia. This time around, it was the beginning of the 20th century, where the Russian people, now they have been galvanized by ideas that were coming from Europe, Marxist ideas. And they came forward and they brought down the government. That's the monarchy that they had. Okay? Now, what the government that was pulled down both in France and Russia were monarchies. It does not mean that even civil government or democratic governments cannot be pulled down. Okay? Our government should pay attention to the people's plight. When graduates begin to bond certificates, we have revolution knocking. These are the boys, these are the young men who trooped out during NSAS. And government, people had to use the butt of the gun to silence them. Those young men are still underground. They are still without jobs. They are still frustrated and they are still waiting. Okay, one of them has bond certificate now. We do not know what's going to happen next. Government should beware. All the people are asking for is good governance. And good governance means this. It's very simple. If the people are going through difficulties, if they are having to tighten their belt, okay, if they are having to deprive themselves, if this is what is happening to the people, government should show some example. This is not the time to buy things that you do not need. This is not the time to buy a yacht for the presidency. Okay, this is not the time to buy cars for National Assembly members. This is not the time. This is the time to identify with the difficulty of the people and show some seriousness. If the people are depriving themselves, government and its officials should show that they also are depriving themselves. You don't pull revolution. What happened in France was because, was that the people were looking for bread to eat and the king was feasting. He was feasting in the palace. The people invaded the palace, pulled him and his wife out and said, come and see what is happening in town. Okay? And we do not want to get to that point. But the fact still remains, scriptures, I say not scriptures now, the constitution says sovereignty belongs to the people. It belongs to the people because the people remain the majority. The people in government are not the majority. And despite the fact that they have the force of arms, they are still not the majority. If the majority of the people are saying this country is not properly run, that is what is happening. This country is not properly run. Okay? That young man that tore his certificate was in his right senses. Very much in his right senses. He didn't look like somebody who had, in fact, he didn't even look hungry. He just said that for some weeks now, he had been thinking and realized that what exactly is he doing with certificates he has not used for 13 years? This is an appeal to all of us Nigerians. The Nigerian government has to get things right so that we do not have to right the wrong in another way. Revolution are still things that can happen in society. It does not have to happen in the 18th century alone or 20th century alone. It can happen in the 21st century. And what happens in revolution is that the first set of people lay down their life, the blood is spilled, but those who are coming after them will take over government. Okay? And if you do not want that, please do the right thing. And like they say, a word is enough for the wise. Thank you.